From the campus of the University of Kentucky, this is Behind the Blue. I'm Cody Kaiser with UK Strategic Communications.
Once my kids got in middle and high school, I decided to take the opportunity to use the employee education benefit. And I started taking classes, and I was determined that one way or another I was going to get my bachelor's degree because it's been a dream since way back when I was working in the fields with my dad, and it just never was an option that was available to me. There's been a million times that I thought, I can't do this. I'm tired. Work stressful, school stressful, being a mom stressful, being a wife stressful, but I have not quit. And if anything, it's empowered me. Wherever your heart tells you to go, if you put in the work and you try and you have the support from your peers and your family, you can absolutely go anywhere. Because I'm telling you, if I could go back and tell, 12-year-old me where we would end up, she would probably think I was loony,
That's Jinger Ballinger, a soon-to-be University of Kentucky graduate whose path to commencement has been anything but traditional. Ballinger grew up on a farm in Paris, Kentucky. She left high school to work full-time and raise her family, then returned to the classroom years later through community college. After joining UK in an entry-level position, she used the university's employee education benefit to keep moving forward, ultimately earning her degree through the College of Communication and Information, while working full-time and raising 5 children. On this episode of Behind the Blue, my colleague Meg Mills talks with Ballinger about her journey from leaving school to coming back, what it took to balance work, family, and coursework, and what it means to walk across the stage at commencement this spring. She also shares what she hopes her story shows her children and anyone else who's ever wondered if it's too late to start again. And now here's Meg Mills with Jinger Ballinger.
Jinger Ballinger, thank you so much for joining us on Behind the Blue podcast. Let's just start at the very beginning. Can you tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to the University of Kentucky?
We're from Paris originally. I grew up on a farm in Paris. We raised tobacco and cattle with my parents, and that was just what we did all the way through till high school. In high school, I opted to drop out of school and work with my dad full-time on the farm. And then as I got older, I got married and ended up having 5 kids. And I always really wished that I could go back. I'd see people going to prom or high school dances, that kind of thing, and really realized how much I had missed out by choosing to work on the farm here in Kentucky rather than go to school. And so once my kids got old enough, I decided to go to community college and get my associate's degree. And with that, I applied for my first job at the university, which was I made badges at the ID office, and I did that for a while. Was perfect. And then I applied for a couple of jobs 6 months in, and I got a job in accounting, and I had never worked in that field. So I decided I really liked it. I stuck with it and soaked up everything that I could. And then I decided to once my kids got in middle and high school, I decided to take the opportunity to use the employee education benefit. And I started taking classes, and I was determined that one way or another I was going to get my bachelor's degree because it's been a dream since way back when I was working in the fields with my dad, and it just never was an option that was available to me. Education wasn't a high priority in our family. We were more blue collar, and so it was just kind of instilled in us that that's what you'll do is work. And but then once I started on this journey, I just decided not to look back. And I've had super good instructors and advisors and mentors along the way. But I graduate in May. And because some of the jobs that were further up from where I started at UK required a higher education. Going back to school was kind of the only option. But I was able to join the College of Communications. And while obtaining my degree, I recently got promoted to supervisor. So I'm very proud to say that I'm a supervisor of a team here at the university in accounting, and I absolutely love it. And I've already been enrolled for the fall semester of the MBA program. So there's no stopping now.
Well, congratulations on your promotion. Congratulations on graduating. Congratulations on your future. That is amazing. So you've talked a little bit about your path here, being from farmers and working that and then going into accounting. So what inspired the College of Communication? Where did that come from?
I had a really good advisor so I came in as a transfer student and also a first generation student. Nobody in our family had ever obtained a bachelor's degree before. And so within that, their first question was, what do you want to do? And mine was, I don't know. I just want to do something. And so they looked at some of my transfer work and they were like, let's get you in touch with some people at the transfer school and see what we can do for you. And the easiest route to get where I wanted to be, which was the MBA, was to go through the College of Communications. And it's been, in terms of leading me to the supervisory role that I'm in now, it's been phenomenal because the things that I've learned, I only knew the dialect that I knew from the farm. And so a lot of the speech that I used in meetings and stuff just almost wasn't appropriate, for some of those settings. And so to be able to master the ability to take the interviews and handle them in the way that it required to nail those positions, I contribute solely to the College of Communications. I could not have done that before I started this journey 2 years ago. I've managed to make the dean list twice, so I'm super excited about that. Nobody will ever ask me my GPA, but I will be ready to tell them just in case.
You can tell me now if you want to.
It's 3.8.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
3.8 something because the semester hasn't finished yet, but and it's all because I've had advisors and mentors and instructors, professors along the way who have been completely, there's things when I started my journey, the first assignment was to submit this project. It was for a language class, learning articulation and speech production, and everything had to be presented through like a Google Docs type thing. But I misunderstood the whole assignment because I'd never done anything like that, never had classes like that. So I submitted the whole project on a poster board and submitted photos of it. And he emailed me. He was like, what is this? I had drawings and all kinds of cool stuff. But it was a learning curve for me, really, to get used to the chats and, learning everything in a totally different way than I had ever had to learn things before. But in that, the tools that I was just handed and taught to use, I could use in my work. And so it really gave me an edge to some of my coworkers when applying for some of those higher up positions because I knew how to use a lot of digital platforms that I had never been, given the opportunity to use through the College of Communications, teaching me how to use some of those online tools and editing software and Canva. Canva's like heaven on earth sometimes. So,
absolutely. Yes. I love Canva. Is there anyone specific that, helped you along your journey, faculty, staff? You've mentioned a lot of people supported you. I don't know if there's anyone that specifically you want to mention.
I don't know if I can name drop, but Rachel Dixon, oh my gosh, she is my advisor. And, I have some of my early questions. She was probably like, where did this lady come from? But she's always been so kind. And it didn't matter how many questions I asked her, like, okay, but how does this fit? And if I take this, will it help me get where I need to be? And will that benefit me later? She even helped me with some parts, and she didn't have to. But filling out the application for the master's program, I was totally afraid, nervous, like what to expect. And I didn't really, there were so many pieces that had to go into that. And she was so awesome at helping me with all of it, from getting my transcripts in and getting my letter, my essay in to be able to be considered for the MBA program. She was super influential. And then I've had a lot of my professors. Dr. Lowe has been awesome at helping me. Dr. Thane Cameron is another professor that's really kind of, it was my first philosophy class ever in my whole life. I did not know what to expect. And I opened the first assignment, the reading assignment, and I think I was more successful reading Genesis than I was that verse. But the way that he broke it all down, and he had required readings that you had to go through and copy and paste into a Word document and then annotate them. Where does your understanding break down? And then reflect on that at the end, and just really having to marry those readings and put, where's my misunderstanding? Where's the breakdown? And then when you follow through with his lectures, he does the same thing. He reads it to you and breaks it down as he goes into bullet points. And so then it's like, oh, this makes sense, And so I was able to excel in my first philosophy class ever because of Dr. Cameron. I do not want to be a famous philosopher. So, okay, if that's the last philosophy class I ever take. But it was the time that he took. And it was, with AI advancing the way that it is, his approach to that learning style, it made you take ownership of it. And so you have to go through and individually highlight and annotate. You're forced into reading it instead of, throwing it into AI and saying, hey, tell me what this means, So it was a different way of teaching that I really appreciated the way that, and I've even used it in classes since. Like, I would have never thought to do that, but if I have a reading that I really don't understand, I throw it into Microsoft Word now. I may even adopt it at work. There's some emails that definitely I could go through and annotate like that, but just the different styles that teachers have, and they've been absolutely influential into helping me. Dr. Lowe tried, and I wasn't eligible for it, but he was like, is there anything else that you haven't checked off of like your bucket list of what you could go back and tell younger Ginger she missed out on? And one of those, and I don't even know why, when I was younger, we were at a tobacco warehouse, and my dad was selling tobacco, and I overheard a girl there say that she was there on an internship. And I didn't know what that was. I was like 12, but I was like, internship, that sounds fancy. I wish I could do that one day. And so I was talking to Dr. Lowe because he had sent out an email looking for people that wanted to do internships. I was like, look, I'm over 40 years old. I could be the mom to most of the kids in my classes, but I want to do an internship. Unfortunately, because I was online only, I wasn't eligible for internship. But he did at least take the time to meet with me about it. And he was really like cheering me on. He was like, this is something that I want to see happen for you. So I was like, I'm going to get this bachelor's. And when I'm done, I'm going to get a master's. And so he's been, I think I took 4 of his classes, and that was all I could find. But all of my instructors have been fantastic.
I love that you're able to find the connection between not only like your schoolwork and your classwork, but your professional work at UK. So going off of that, what is it like, going to school while also working full time? And how was that experience for you?
At first, it was very challenging because I also have 5 kids. 3 of my children are adults and have moved out, but I still have 2 teenage boys at home who they now have nicknamed me Wilson. Because they only see from my nose up, because I work remotely as well. So when they come home from school, I'm from here up. And then after we have dinner, I go back to the sofa and get a different computer and do the same thing for several hours. But it's been so good for them to see that, there's been a million times that I thought, I can't do this. I'm tired. Work stressful, school stressful. Being a mom stressful, being a wife stressful, but I have not quit. And if anything, it's empowered me. There's within my team at work, I don't want to disclose anything personal about them, but there are other people within my work group that are single moms or have been single moms. And I'm remarried now, but it's a tough place to be, and to know that your family depends on you financially. And so to be able to empower them and just tell them that where you start out in life is not where you're going. And we can all just, you can back up and punt and say, I don't want to farm forever. I know that's what I dropped out of school to do, but that's not what I want to do. And I want to do an internship. And you might get here and not be able to do an internship. But wherever your heart tells you to go, if you put in the work and you try and you have the support from your peers and your family, you can absolutely go anywhere. Because I'm telling you, if I could go back and tell, 12-year-old me where we would end up, she would probably think I was loony, and it's very good for me to be able, and I think that was the whole reason that I wanted to do this podcast, was to be able to tell other people, men, women, children, myself, my children, there's nothing that you can't do. And there's so many opportunities. And for me, the university was just being in this place and knowing that, every aspect of my life that I know as it is today has been afforded to me in large part by the University of Kentucky. And I started out in a very, very entry-level position. And it was a great job. I enjoyed it. And it was honestly the first time that I ever had to learn to navigate Lexington by myself, was coming from Paris and drive and park way behind the emergency room and hike in. And And it was so much of a growth experience for me. But to be able to look back to that time and to now is incredible that we've come this far.
You've shared, a big part of your motivation to go back to school and do this is not only for yourself, but for your kids. So what does graduating mean to you, but also to your family?
Well, out of the 5, there's only one that's a girl, and she is 20. And I told her, I said, no, I think that UK does like a thing where you can like watch this on TV or watch it online. So you don't really have to like try to come to my graduation. She said, but you can't hear me from there. And so it's just that pride that she has. Like, I want to be there because she's seen how much my daughter was with me. When we went through our divorce, and I say we because it's something that parents go through with their children. And to be able to start out, come to the other side of that and have them walk with me the whole journey and see that as a family we can do anything, and to know that on May 8th she's going to be probably the loudest person in the room. It's a way bigger gift than I ever deserved in life. And again, most of that is just coming to the University of Kentucky and having the opportunities that I've been afforded. And really, I guess everybody here has the same opportunities to some degree, but it's just having the courage to take them and the support behind you to actually embrace it is just something that's truly, it's unique for my entire inner circle,
Going through this process, you said you were the first in your family to get a degree, right? So you're first gen. How has that affected your kids' thoughts on higher education? Did they have a difference in opinion before you started versus now? How has that affected them?
So most of my kids are boys, and they're not as vocal about those things. But definitely my daughter, I remember, she wasn't talking about me, and she wasn't meaning to be offensive at me. But my very first semester back, I had picked her up from her job before she had her license at the time. And her and her friend were talking in the back seat, and they're like, they're talking about somebody going to college, and they're like, that's stupid. It's such a waste of money. It's such a money racket, and just, girl talk. And now, fast forward 2 years, that she's seen, because the progress that I've made in this whole journey, like I touched on before, is not just, you hear so often, I couldn't get that job because I didn't have that piece of paper. And that's what people kind of mentally think of school as like. And so you get into it and you're having to present in front of a camera to your teacher every week. And you don't even think that this is going to make those Teams meetings at work so much more comfortable once I learn how to do this fluently. And so it was so many parts of my life that this was touching, that she was seeing. Fun fact, I'm also a musician. I play bass guitar in a band. My dad plays lead guitar. My husband's the drummer, and my mom is our keyboard player. And when I first started school, this is how phenomenal going back to school can be. I would go on stage and literally the first 2 songs of every set, my hand would shake. Like I could not hold the mic still because everybody's looking at me and I'm so uncomfortable. But being taught in these classes, in communications classes, how to control your breathing and how to control your emotional response and your fight or flight, I go on stage now and it's just natural. Like it's just fun for me. My anxiety doesn't take over. I'm able to get like charged up and enjoy it. And so all of these little things she's seen over the last 2 years, and little miss, that's a money racket. Now she's talking about, I really want to take some classes and I want to consider going back to school. And my eldest son, Cameron, he has talked to me before. He's at a weird age. He didn't go to college. He graduated high school, but he got a really good paying job straight out of high school. And so he opted not to go to college. But since seeing this journey, and I've even had to use my phone a friend card and call my oldest son for help in like statistics and things like that were a little bit harder for me to understand. And so he's currently in the process of getting signed up for he wants to learn Japanese. And so I got him in touch with some people here that can help with that. And so hopefully he'll get to take classes. But definitely the biggest factor in, or the biggest change, I would say, in their opinions was my daughter. She was definitely, you know, I don't understand the benefit of going to college. And since she's seen how much it's changed my life and how much better it's made every opportunity that I've taken for myself, she is 100% on board now. She's getting the idea that she wants to go to college herself, which was, you know, previously just not something that was even on her radar. So all good.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. I will be at graduation, so I cannot wait to see you and your family, and I will for sure be listening for your daughter. Has the moment that you're going from I'm going to make this happen to it's happened, has that moment hit you yet?
It's still really surreal. There's a lot of times that I'll get an email or something. So I have to tell you this because it was so awkward for me. I got an email to come to countdown to capping gown or capping gown countdown or something. I got an email that invited me. And it was like, you know, we're going to walk through the gates to the alumni commons and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I was like, you know what? You regretted not going to prom. You don't ever want to look back and say, yes, I was older than everybody else here, but I worked just as hard, you know. And so I decided to go. And I would walk up. So they said in the thing that you could wear your cap and gown. So I took it, but I did not wear it because I was like, I don't know. And I looked around. Nobody else was wearing them. So I'm like, that's fine. So I walk up to the first table and the lady's like, can I help you? And I was like, oh, yeah, is it okay if I get a pen? And she's like, yeah. And then the next booth I went to, they had a spinning thing, and the guy was looking at me like, and I said, I'm sorry, I'm a student. And he was like, you're graduating? I was like, yeah. And he was totally nice about it. But I was like, I turned around. My husband was kind enough to go with me because I realized everybody here thinks I work at one of these booths. So I told my husband, I was like, you're going to have to go back and get the cap and gown. So he went to the car and got the cap and gown. So it wouldn't be quite so awkward for everybody around me. But it was then like, it was so funny. Like after you put the cap and gown on, these, you know, younger generation kids are like walking up to me like, congratulations. They're trying to high five me and stuff. And so I did all the things. I got up on the big block and took my picture in front of the Willie T. And I just do not ever want to leave this part of my life and think I didn't take it all in the way that I would have if I had this opportunity 25 years ago, you know. So it certainly looks different from the outside and from the inside. But it's been just such an amazing opportunity. And so my advisor, Rachel, she said, are you going to walk? And I was like, I may dance, but I will be there. I'm not going to guarantee you I'll walk, but so it's been a good experience.
Well, I know that you're very excited to walk across that stage after everything that you have earned. And like you said, you work just as hard as everyone else. Kind of switching gears, you've already applied to the MBA program. What are your goals moving forward? What are your hopes for the future?
I really want to get into the MBA program. I'm very happy in the role that I'm in terms of where I'm working currently. But again, at the bachelor level, this will kind of tap me out from where I can go next educationally. And I need a lot more. I've got the soft skills, the communication skills, those types of things that I set out for. But in order to move into, you know, more managerial roles within accounting, I definitely need some more of like the technical skills for that. And so I'm super looking forward to joining the MBA program to get the skills that I need to continue forward in accounting. I would have never imagined myself wanting to work in accounting. Like it wasn't something I ever saw as an option, so I never really thought about it. But now that I'm here and I see all of the opportunities and options, then it's something I want to grow in, but I definitely need a lot more education to help me. So I'm really hopeful that I get that within the MBA program.
Sharing your story with others, what would you say to someone who feels like it's too late to go back? It's too late to go back to school, or it's too late to do this?
It's never too late. And there's nothing that you can dream here. And I know over time it's kind of become a cliche at UK, but there's all this like talk about everything is wildly possible. It's wildly possible at UK, but it's true. I mean, I never would have imagined that I could get this far, and that I still have so much to go, but it's not even daunting. It's exciting. Like the things that I'm going to get to see and the things that I'm going to learn over the next couple of years are just, it's empowering and it's enlightening, and it's just so outstanding that we can just come here and work and have the opportunity to go to school and further ourselves so that, you can have a financial stability to protect and guide your family, but you can also give them, I've given my children something within this journey that they will never forget. And that's that you can, regardless of what it is, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And if you go into it with an open mind, and, I play my own cheerleader sometimes, I'm like, we got this, just self-affirmation. And they see those things and they tell their friends about it. Like my kids Snapchat their friends, like pictures, like this is mom and her capping gown, and even, teenage boys at the Bourbon County High School are so excited that, Mama Ginger is going back to school and she's going to graduate. And so it's the amount of people, the ripple effect that this whole journey has had is insane to me. Like to the amount of people that are cheering me on within that are seeing what's possible. If it's out there and you can think it and you can dream it, you can do it. And I used to just wish and pray that I had a way to do more, to go more, to see more. And all of those things seem so out of reach. And 2 years ago, I looked at the classes ahead of me and I was like, there's no way we're ever going to finish all this. And here I am, less than 2 weeks, I'm going to get to put that capping gown on and walk proudly in Rep Arena because of the University of Kentucky and all of the people that have supported me for 2 years now, just cheering me on.
What do you hope that those people or these people listening take away from your journey?
There's a lot of rural areas in Kentucky and a lot of children that see, influencers, especially on social media now way more than, in the past. And they see those things that they might wish or dream or hope. But then think that could never be me. But all of those things, whatever they are, can be you. And it's happened for me, and I never would have thought, except in my own dreams, that it could. And so I'm just so proud, and I'm proud of the people that I work with. My entire team has been right there supporting me. And, like on days that I have a big final coming up, they're like, what are you doing after work today? And I'm like, I have an exam tonight. And they're all like, praying for you, wishing you luck, you got this. And it's just so cool to be surrounded by that, not only at work, but at home. And just every single aspect of my life, there is somebody that I have that I can say, I need you to talk me through this. And they're always there. And so if you have that system of people, and most of those people, with the exception of my own family, most of those people I've met at the University of Kentucky. This place is full of so many people that are just eager to reach out and help you excel at whatever it is you want to do with your life. And my current manager, Elizabeth, she's told me before, whatever the next chapter of your life looks like, I hope you stay with me forever. But if you don't, I'm going to be right here cheering you on through whatever endeavor, because that's what I want for you. I want you to be successful, however that looks. And it's just, it's truly not about where you start. It's where you're going and how you get there.
Looking back at your journey, you're from Paris, Kentucky. You've taken a non-traditional path to community college, to UK, working your job at UK, now graduating from UK. What are you most proud of?
I think that the one thing that I am the most proud of is the hope that I give other people. And I've heard it expressed to me through the voices of my children, my coworkers, just people that I've talked to about what it's like to go back to school. And, I have a coworker that's about the same age as me, and she never went to school. And she said to me, I wish I would, but I just kind of feel like I'm too old for that. And I'm like, we're the same age. How do you think that makes me feel? And she's considering it. But that's the one thing that I'm most proud of, is that I give people who think that their journey may have ended and they're stuck in a job that they're not happy in, or in a place in life that they're not happy. It doesn't even have to be going back to school. But if there's something that you feel like would improve your life, you can do it. And I think that's the one thing I'm most proud of, is giving other people hope that they can achieve whatever dream comes in their mind.
I'll leave you with one final question, something fun to leave us off with, but either in your professional life or as a student, what is your favorite memory of being a Wildcat?
My favorite memory so far of everything I've done was going to, it was at Student Center when we went to order our cap and gowns. And so I was super overwhelmed. I couldn't even find the room I was supposed to be in because I'm not an on-campus student. But when I got there and I found it and I went to the table to order the cap and gown, and, it's one of the few times that anybody will ever ask me my GPA, but I had taken my mom with me because she didn't get to see all this. That's one thing that I really focused on through this whole journey, is that by me deciding not to complete high school, it didn't only take those memories away from me, it was memories that my mom didn't have as well. And so I've tried to include her in certain things so that, she gets to have that. Having my own kids, I see now how much that means. And so it's a great sense of pride for her. So I took her with me when I ordered it. And when I got to proudly say, the guy asked me, "What's your GPA?" so that he could choose my cords. And he grabbed the gold cords and handed it to me. And I look over and my mom's just like grinning from ear to ear. She's just like, "Yeah, those gold ones, So I think that was my favorite moment, was getting to have the cap and gown handed to me, and then my cords, and have that pride that my mom's here and she gets to see something that we've both waited a long, long time for. So that's my favorite memory.
Well, Jinger, thank you so much for joining us today on Behind the Blue, and congratulations on all of your accomplishments. And I can't wait to see you walk across that stage at graduation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Blue. Behind the Blue is a production of the University of Kentucky. For more stories about how the University of Kentucky is advancing our Commonwealth, visit uknow.uky.edu.